All right, hi. DOD Weapon System Acquisition Reform Product Support Assessment. November 2009, DOD Weapon System Acquisition Reform Product Support Assessment, November 2009. As DoD moves forward with the weapon system acquisition reform, the detention product support must be increased. The life cycle management must be better focused to achieve affordable operational warfighting outcomes. Too often in the past, weapon systems product supports has been neglected in acquisition logistic transformation efforts. Therefore, the department is going to truly reform the business of delivering the weapon system capabilities to the warfighter. It must also reform stewardships of 132 billion spent each year in product support. Reform stewardship driven in improving product support, achieving most cost-effective weapon system readiness outcomes, requires a life cycle management focus committee with the leadership cooperative efforts of the operational acquisition and logistic communities. This DoD weapon system acquisition reform product support assessment captures the findings recommendations needed to drive the next generation 2 product support strategies. During its year-long study, or 65 member plan DoD industry team led by the Office of the Department of Undersecretary of Defense of Logistics Material Readiness identified with the 8 principles that areas that if developed and improved will make product support most effective. Acquisition reform to more far-reaching. More far-reaching. 1. Product support business model. 2. Industrial integration strategy. 3. Supply chain operational strategy. 4. Governance. 5. Matrix. 6. Operating support costs. 7. Analytical tools. 8. Human capability. I appreciate the team works to arrive at these findings. Publishing comprehensive report. Be assured you will have my support during the implementation of the 8 recommendations. I look forward to working with the DoD components, agencies, Congress, industry, and the warfighter as we implement this successful change in weapon system product support and acquisition reform. Your cooperation is paramount. Let's drive this effort home. Ashton B. Carter, under the Secretary of Defense, Acquisition Technology and Logistics. Table of Contents, executive summary, followed by Chapter 1, the Product Support Challenge, Chapter 2, Management Application Approach, Chapter 3, Next Generation Business Model, Life Cycle Cost, Life Cycle Product Support. 4. Strategies of implementing life cycle product for the support of business model. 5. Recommended process enabler implementing product support business model. 6. Life cycle product support implementation. Chapter 7. Critical path and accountability. Appendix A. PSAT weapon system data analysis. Appendix B. PSAT weapon systems data sources strategy. Assassination rationality. Appendix C, product support business model detail elements. Product D, product support of cost estimation methodology. And then there's a whole bunch of list of figures, which is pretty long. There's about 43 figures and 12 tables. Finishing the executive summary, weapon system product supports operate at the intersection of the defensive acquisition and logistics product support, also referred to as the system sustainment and package for the supporting functions required to maintain the readiness operational capability of the weapon system, subsystem, software, and sub-support systems, encompassing material management, distribution, technical data management, maintenance and training, catalog, configuration management, engineering support, repairing parts management, failure reporting analysis, reliability, growth, product support, consideration germane to both acquisition logistics as necessary through the DoD life cycle framework, beginning with the earliest requirements and determination, continuing through the system design, development, and operational use, retirement, and disposal. The spurred by perceived and documented shortcomings in the cost-effective procurement and affordable operation of the DoD systems, acquisition and logistic process have been requiring focus on the and studies, reform efforts, and transformation initiatives. Despite more than 130 studies of the Commission of Defensive Acquisition since World War II, the Acquisition Corp problems persist, according to the Secretary of the Department, Deputy of the Secretary of Defense, and despite more than 90% of logistic reform, re-engineering, and modernization, similar strategic studies planned in the past 20 years, no broad consensus has been emerged for the Department of Defense logistics transformation, but areas have been based on Government Accountability Office high risk levels for past 19 years. Only the defensive business areas are with an uneditable, trackable record. Acquisition process may pay a little attention supporting constantly traded downstream sustainability for record capability or program survival. Some of the program managers asset logistics in the discretion of the account, making the frequent target for backup frequent target for inevitable resource reductions. The acquisition discussion review sustainment and often related to the backup charts hampered the functionally stovepiped organization structures lacking life cycle management qualification and a diverse workforce. Logistic community fails to achieve an effectively integrated affordable warfighter operational readiness. Instead, it remains focused on the managing commodities and parts and service. It is crucial to our national interest that the product support achievement achieves the level of performance equal to the critical importance of the report inspired by a warfighter-driven operational perspective offers clearly defined implementable recommendations to drive the next generation of product support strategies toward the objective of clear vision and achieve the aligned, synchronized operational acquisition sustainment communities working together to deliver the required affordable warfighter outcomes. Background. The defense product support is a big business costing at least $132 billion in the fiscal year of 2008. The scope is not surprising given the fiscal year of 2008. The Department of Defense Logistics accounted for about $190 billion of the operational maintenance and personal operations. For the DOD acquisition spending of about with $165 billion. The clamor of the more effective and affordable product support faces many of the changes, the exigency and the irregularity warfare harshness the threatener. 3 years of operation intense operational tempos put severe upward pressure on the support costs, but despite these challenges, progress has been made and the opportunity for progress is available. They also has been increasing the focus of the product support over the last 10 years, exhibiting DOD policy and guidance, responding to the congressional direction of re-engineering product support. The Department of Defense completed a comprehensive review summarizing the 1999 reported the product support of for the 21st century that became the impetus made, but the strategies applied for the last decade. As a result, for the DOD strategy product is involving the traditional transactional logistic concept with its components readiness acquired for the discrete unit transaction of stronger emphasis acquiring the operational readiness outcomes themselves. The poster child for the latter approach by policy and DOD performs sustainable concept is called performance-based logistics, more commonly referred to as the acronym PBL, performance-based logistics. Performance-based logistics was in transformation of the Jacques Gansler, Undersecretary of the Defense Acquisition Technology Logistics from 1997 to 2001, described the context of what was needed in the transforming of that time. The reverse of the trend with the current short-term need for the consuming and an ever-increasing share of over the pie, the expense of long-term military capability will be extremely difficult. I have called the situation the death spiral. In fact, we'll come to that, and if we do not act decisively now, I will require significant culture change and sense urgent, difficult program funding decisions. The result may be that we will have put some scare cows out of the pasture, not just to keep trying to keep them milking them. Not just trying to keep milking them. Developing the response to the death of the proposal to decreasing the readiness, increasing the cost of the 1990s, the performance-based logistics strategies were attempted to reserve this trend. Today was approximately 200 performance-based logistic applications in the Department of Defense. The number appears inflated because the platform systems have been multiple based on performance-based logistics subsystem applications, so currently about only 20% of the DOD weapon system utilizes the performance-based logistics strategies in whole part, despite the reflectively shown low adoption rate. The strategy shows the installation of the military service. Performance-based logistics has the critics and consequence changes. For example, the few argue that the performance-based logistics performance improvements it may have in the question of the cost effectiveness, although the fully intended for the product strategy support strategy embracing the best of the public-private sector to produce the system readiness outcome. The performance-based logistics have been viewed many primarily contracting logistics strategies. All performance performance-based logistic approach. Like traditional strategies, rely on a combination of organic contractor support. Unlike traditional strategies, the performance-based logistics significantly leverage incentivize use of the private sector competency capabilities process to create the perception of insourcing logistics. Other cited shortcomings: the failure to spawn the desired product and competitive base, and failure to establish long-term contractual offering, difficulty displaying audible finance benefits. Given these consequences and challenges, critics are quickly to argue the development of the chain. Still, they remain the strong consensus that an outcome-based, performance-oriented product support strategy is worth objective. But currently, these labels are intricately linked by the performance-based logistics and the contents of what to do about the performance-based logistics, or where to go about the performance-based logistics is a major product support strategy debate. This issue is, and that review is not too narrow. The broader issues confronting the product support for the next generation. This issue hampers out institutional sustainment process systematically, while the military operations have become increasingly joint sustainment process, remaining overwhelming service-centric product support despite significant policy guidance of the increased governance and needed of the transition. Performance-based strategy reflects on the best valued strategies and based on a business case analysis process that has been consistently criticized by external reports, citing reliance on the immature data, inconsistent application, over-reliance on the size-fit analytical approach that fails to acknowledge the difference in criteria such as the life cycle phase or level and plan for product. Support availability, credibility, the loss of the logistics information technology infrastructure has been slowed to modernization, challenge the optimized integration with the vertical weapon system supply chains, traditional horizontal commodity business supply chain process, acquisition, logistic workforce assignment have been reported weakness in both communities, citing shortcomings in competency culture needs to translate the warfighter performance requirements and the cost-effective product and spanning the weapon system of the life cycle. When military operations have become increasingly joint and sustaining, the process remaining overwhelming and self-centric. Despite the endemic, the structural issues, the rich opportunities for change, the military, political, economic stars are aligned with the fundamental reform of the product support as part of the acquisition reform, but providing with a unique window opportunity for the fundamental reforms are not also only possible but required in context of the Office of Secretary of Defense. The logistic material readiness realized with the opportunity established by the group senior government industrial personnel, the product support assessment team, to assess the other opportunities for improving the product life cycle support. The product life cycle assessment team is establishing an ambiguous objectives that review the effort in identifying the criteria for the product support and implementation across the Department of Defense and Enterprise, identifying with the areas of the improvement in the procedure with the associated policies, published and state of the product of the support assessment with the recommendation scribing for the way forward with developing implementation next generation life cycle product support business model may be related to enabling strategies to accomplish these objectives. The team implemented three-phase general process methodology. Discovering and assessment, the team analyzed with the 20 major topics, collecting the examining weapon system data related to the product support environment. The team focused on the perspective of the strategy, policy, and processes, resources, the qualitative and quantitative assessment for the major topic of the areas. Project build. The team collectively synthesized the key issues, the root cause, and the finding of the distilling over 100 recommendations down to 8 principles recommendation for the improving the Department of Defense support processes. Implementation ran up. The team identified with the implementation action as each of the concurrent with the three review phase weapon system data has been collected and analyzed for the 34 programs. The data provided with the insight of the diverse range for the product support strategies associated with the historical life of the operating and the supporting costs, availability life of the respective program. The weapon system analyst provided with the quantitative baseline, which will combine with the quantitative data, forms the foundation upon the resulting of the recommendation have been validated with each of the major top areas. The product support assessment team guidance was provided with the senior steering group that guided for the overall provided support assessment team process, reviewed the emerging findings of the recommendation members of the senior steering group of the consisted with the general flag officers and senior executive leaders of the Department of Defense and Industrial Association. Summary of findings. The three major categories will analyze the conduct during the study. One, the majority assessment product of the support process identified with the major issue areas, the root cause analysis of the major product with the support issues areas, insight supporting information for the weapon system data analysis is highlighted with the table 1 below the summary findings as follows. Maturity assessment reflected with the consistent weakness of virtually all key products of the support process. None of the areas studied achieved the maturity rating over the average. The most mature process of areas were customer-facing metrics performance outcomes, while the weakest areas were the business case analysis processes or cross-service alignment. Table 1 shows the summary of study findings. Maturity assessment of the product support processes has 4 bulletins. Maturity assessment reflected in consistent weakness in virtually all key product support processes. None of the areas studied achieved the maturity rating above the average. The most mature process areas were the customer-facing metrics and the performance outcomes. The weakest areas were the business case analysis process and the cross-service alignment. The root of cause analysis of the major product support issue, as in the summary of the study findings, continued with reliance on transactional business studied in business system processes and inadequately human capability, need for smart managers and smart buyers, or organizational change, the lack of the shared goals. Weapon system data analysis has 2 bulletins for summary of study and findings. The weapon systems data analysis, performance-based, outcome-based product support strategy, particularly when they couple with the government industry partner approaches, they consistently delivered improved material readiness across the numerous weapon systems the application over the past decade. Cost benefits are more difficult to assess with the cited the several GAO reports, Government Accounting Office reports, and outcomes based on support strategies have claimed reductions in cost avoidance, but the Department of Defense financial systems lack the visibility to fidelity to validate these benefits and constitute with audited standards. The team conducted the root of the cause of the analysis of the major product of the support issue areas found with the consistent themes throughout, specifically product of the support suffers largely with the continued reliance with the transactional-based system of the process, inadequate with the human capability need for the smart managers, smart buyers, organizational challenges, and lack of shared goals. While the range of the indicators result for the major assessment of the root of the cause of the analysis, the weapon systems analysis clearly shows the performance-based, outcome-based of the product of the support strategies, particularly when coupled with the government industry pattern approaching that has consistently delivered improved material readiness across the numerous weapon system applications over the past decade. Cost benefits are most likely difficult to assess. As cited with the GAO reports, most of the outcome of the way supported strategies have been claimed cost reductions and cost avoidance with the Department of Defense financial lack of the visibility, fidelity, validated with the business benefits consistent with the audit standards, and some of their performance-based product of the support strategies consistent with delivering improved material readiness, but assessing the true cost of the traditional or transactional performance-based strategies is different than the if not impossible given current financial system. Recommendations and 8 principal recommendations resulted with the collection and analysis of the study data. Figure 1 is summarized with the 8 recommendation areas, reflecting on symbiotic relationship among the recommendation of categories. While the period model on the top 2 brands are recommended for the reflect the strategy prior initiative, the third brand reflects the critical governance process necessary to provide product support accountability across the life cycle, and the pyramid base reflects an aspect which enables the recommendation necessary to implement the higher level of the reforms. At the top, these 3 different performance sustainment assessment team recommendation areas are product support, business model, industrial integration strategy, supply chain operational strategy, governance and metrics, O&S costs, analytical tools, and human capital. Product support business manuals. The performance support assessment team recommendations, adoption of the new model for the capitalized integrated with the defense industrial-based performance outcomes that enable the cost-effective capability of the across the weapon system lifecycle. The business model described in the provides a clearly defined framework that will facilitate the continuous identification of the appropriate product of the support strategy consistent with the objectives of the system over its life cycle. The model is supported with the decision matrix using the 2 fundamental axes. The application, strategy, system, subsystem, and component level of the product support, integration, industry, organic, or integrated partnership. See figures note 6. Industrial integration strategy, the study that clearly showed the tangible benefits of the government industrial patterning with the conjunction with the assessing of the program utilizing partnership. The team complied with the framework outlining with the characteristics of the good partnership. The recommendation emphasized the need to continue to evaluation of public and private partnership strategies beyond the current depot maintenance focus of the other support functions. This will facilitate more effective industrial integration. Will be provided with the ranging of the product support capabilities, leveraging the talent and expertise infrastructure both with commercial and organic industrial base. Supply chain operational strategy. Given the relationship with the maintenance and supply of the Department of Defense composite the supply chain, the team recognized the critical need for the action platform, products and support strategies, and enterprising of the supply chain and the approach with the product of the best value across the Department of Defense components of the Department of Defense supply chains. Focused largely on the committee to the management and the practices, mostly extends but the system level and the enterprising level strategies, enabling the leveraging and consolidated benefits of the cross enterprise joint management approach. All right, governance. Despite the increased rhetoric, despising the increased rhetoric emphasizing the importance of products support, no compelling and cohesive life cycle government framework would include the consideration product support has defined much of the less implemented. There is little intention in setting of penalties and not achieving effective sustaining objectives over the life cycle. Systematic government and protected support of the initialized Viva policy guidance to review activities, strengthen, develop, or enforce organization management and sustainment processes. Metrics, performance-based, outcome-based, and the product support strategies will continue to be emphasized, implemented with the industry organic sustainment approach. As such, of the establishment of the comprehensive guidance for regarding with the selection, the application, metrics, the success, the insight, the monitoring of the product of the support over the life cycle, and the critical to both the effective governance and management of the strategy, operating in the support cost, the lack of the affordability requirement, adequate visibility. The operating support cost has been a long-standing barrier to the effective assessing and the managing and validation of the benefits and shortcomings of the product support strategies. The report defines specific initiatives necessary to make such much needed and fundamental improvements in financial visibility and accountability. The analytical tools, the use of the BCA process to make the lifecycle product support decision mandated. The policy since 2004 has been plagued with the problems, inaccuracy, and consistent application service of the weapon systems, a general failure to achieve the purpose for which it was intended for the BCAs to improve the effectiveness of the decision tool. It was necessary to identify, clarify, and codify the large group of the analytical tools which the analysis should be conducted. The report provides a specific plan to achieve this objective. That's analytical tools. The human capital, both the Department of Defense acquisition and logistic workforces facing significant challenges of intending the professional knowledge base to serve smart buyers and managers integrated with the life cycle product cost, and the DOD for the defense must set clearly objectives integrated with the project support competency across the acquisition logistic workforce demands and institutionalize the successful traits of the outcome-based culture, further industry product support personnel, along with the government colleagues, more sustainable, equipped to acquire requests, product support competency proficiency. Implementation acts of the proposed recommendation could be facilitated empowering 3 of the integrated product teams to forward in the precise agendas. The integrated product team's product support business model, strategically focused team, responsibility of developing institutionalized product support business model with the accomplice of pursuing initiatives to align with expanding the government industrial partnership with the company, connecting the weapon system product support and strategy outcome of the base of the approach, utilizing the enterprise with the focused supply chain management practices. The integrated product team governance. The team responsible for developing, institutionalizing, improve the governance of the product with across the life cycle, including the sustainment metrics governance activities such as milestone reviews and other product assessment actions. The integrated product team. Number 3, human capital. The team is reasonably defined shape with the professional workforce necessary to execute the new product support environment. Clear requires the skill match with the flexibility, knowledge, and professional trained human capital component. Management oversight for the 3 teams. These should be provided with the reorganization of the performance Support Assessment Team, Senior Steering Group of the Standard Product Support Executive Council. This executive group effort should be aligned with the other related senior level groups, such as the Maintenance Executive Steering Committee with the Joint Logistic Board of the Weapons System, Lifecycle Management Group of the Department of Defense Logistic Human Capital Executive Steering Group. Conclusion. Transforming product support will require not only the stronger leadership of the Department of Defense, but always open-minded with the reform of the driven the Department of Defense congressional partnership and collaborative Department of Defense relationship to realize the report of the objectives of national security with the economic environmentals dictated with the tough mind acquisition recommended reform and logistic transportation. The challenge is affordability with the constraint with the need of the upgrade with the equipment infrastructure continuing with the persistent operation tempo was prescribed the year needed for the Department of Defense implementation often integrated with the plan to address the product support across the Department of Defense enterprise. Such changes in weapon system product support will demonstrate the reducing of the cost while maintaining equal and greater equipment readiness support for the key warfighting capabilities. The Department of Defense forwarded the acquisition team improved the lifecycle management practices to product support improvement is the key enabler critical implementation efforts of the recommendation included with all the reports to yield a higher level of effectiveness and overall acquisition logistic process and in turn significantly improve the sustainability, capability, and affordability of our weapon system. Organization of the report as described by the performance support assessment team, the analytical method of recommendations necessary implementation acts in achieving the long-term logistics product support transformation consistent with the objectives of the initiative with the acquisition reform of the Department's 2009 quadrennial defense review, other strategic challenge and process. Chapter 1 is the part of the defines the product support challenge in the past for the president. Chapter 2 describes the product support assessment team methodology. Chapter 3 outlines the product support business model that provides a structure enabled to facilitate more effective performance-based relationships, expanding two elements of the model. Chapter 4 discusses the recommendations and key tasks related with the public-private partnership with the supply chain operational strategy, recommendations related to product support, governance metrics, and ONS costs, analytical tools, and human capital are core at Chapter 5. Chapter 6 defines the management tools. This is necessary to implement the recommendations for the change in Chapter 3 through 5. And finally, Chapter 7 closes the report of the established leadership accountability, defining the critical path to realizing the product support assessment team success. Chapter 1, the product support challenge.